Welcome back to MVM. Today I am taking a look at the new board game Defection, which is coming soon. This game puts you right in the middle of an intergalactic war, but unlike a lot of space warfare games, this one has you actually defecting from the war in order to travel around the planets and rescue civilians. So there is definitely a different take here on the genre. You're actually going to be competing to try to rescue the most civilians by the end of the game. So this is still a 4X style game. You're going to hit a lot of those same buttons, but the gameplay and objectives are very different. So let me go ahead and dive in and show you what this game looks like. Now here you're going to see a 4-player game setup, and you'll see all 4 ships here in the home world of Calrissian. And along the outside you're going to see a number of different white tiles or red tiles based on your setup, with a few planets on the outside. Now these white tiles are going to give you some encounters, and some of these red tiles are going to even give you some more difficult ones. In addition, you have the cube tile here, which is going to hold the contracts that you can complete during the course of the game. And then over here you have a moon tile, which is going to rotate around and can be mined for some goods. In addition, you're going to have some leftover tiles off to the side that may get added, and you're going to have 2 sets of cards, encounter cards and loot cards. Now off to the side you're going to see the market. This is where you can come to buy one of the 3 ships. You can hire new crew to come sit on your player board, or you can get one of those ship upgrades that is sitting up top there, and that can be purchased and brought down to your player board as well. So in addition, everyone is going to start off with a faction sheet in their color, and there's a lot of information here, but this is going to basically break down how to play the game. You're going to start with a sea droid that is locked in on your crew position, and you're also going to start with a random nightjar ship that is going to come down here as well. In addition, this is going to hold all of your tokens, and it's going to show you the civilians that you need to rescue. Each player is going to get one of these, and they're going to place all of their tokens and pieces directly on their faction sheet. Now this is what a final player board will look like. You have your 4 action cubes, you'll have your honor token, which can be stolen during combat, you'll have your starting ship, your guns, your space for your bounties off to the side, your 1 crew you'll start with, and your other crew that you can upgrade to. In addition, you're going to see the domination track, which will allow you to place tokens here to indicate that you've dominated specific planets over the course of the game. You have your upgrade track here that shows your bonuses and cost for upgrading specific upgrades. The credits, including the money that you're going to be gaining and spending over the course of the game, and the civilians that you can rescue from Calrissian. You're only going to be able to rescue the civilians of your color. Down here you'll see your crystal track, which I'll talk about here in a minute. And you have your turn order guide right here. Now this is your civilian graveyard. You do not want your civilians to end up here. And then of course your ship is going to have a few different stats on it, as will your crew, and of course these can be upgraded over the course of the game. Now if you look at that news tracker, you're going to see that the game is played over 8 different years, with each one of those years broken down into 4 phases. You'll see the year track there on the side of the board, and every year you're going to trigger a different bonus. You're either going to gain planet income for every explored planet that you are dominating, or you're going to get bounty income. Bounty income is going to give you legend, which is victory points, and money for each encounter card that you've managed to capture over the course of the game. After that, you're going to resolve a news card. Now you're always going to start with this one, War Begins. This is triggering the excitement of the game, and this is going to start already face up in the first news position. In addition, you're going to see several breaking news cards that will be revealed as the game goes on. Now these cards are going to shift down the line as you play through the rounds, and you're going to be revealing new news cards. These news cards might have you make an instantaneous decision, or they might have some ongoing effect that's going to change up the gameplay for that round. Now once you've dealt with the news cards, you're going to take your actions in turn order going around the table until everyone is done. Then you're going to move the round to the next year. Now things are going to change up a little bit, and you're going to see here the round count, which like I said ends at round 6 with something special happening in round 7. You're going to have a variety of news cards, and these are going to slide down over the course of the game as new news cards are revealed and take effect. In addition, you're going to keep track of everyone's legend up here, and you're going to have a number of cargo that can be gathered from the planet here based on the number of players. This is all the cargo that you'll ever be able to get from that planet, and this cargo needs to be delivered out to the colonies. Over here, you have your tokens just in case you ever do reach that 40-point marker. And the first thing you're going to do on your turn is move the moon. You're always going to rotate the moon one space. So you're going to have these 4 white cubes that represent the time that you can spend, and these are basically the actions you can take. You do have an option to unlock a 5th time cube so that you can take a 5th action, but most turns you're just taking the 4. However, there are a variety of free actions that you can take as well. Now, those free actions do include one of the most important, which is picking up and dropping off civilians, which is something you're going to want to do in the game. Each player's player board is going to show 22 civilians that they can rescue from Kelleressa. That is kind of the main planet in the center of the galaxy. Now, the other planets around the outside of the ring have 0 civilians, but you can actually bring civilians from Kelleressa to those colony planets in order to rescue them. So there is definitely a race element happening here as you're trying to ferry these survivors away from the planet. Now, starting at the beginning of the game, if you look at your starting nightjar, you'll see you can only carry 4 civilians at a time, but you can actually upgrade this in the future. You're also going to be mixing in other free actions like buying and selling cargo and dealing in scrap. Now, there's an economy here that's going on with you able to buy some of these things cheaply and then deliver them for more money. But you're going to want to partake in these actions because they're going to give you the credits you need to upgrade your ships. The last free action you can take is actually deploying your planetary defenses. You might want to protect the colonists that you've just rescued, so you can actually deploy your guns down to the planet's surface where you've left them in order to protect them. Now keep in mind, you only have 2 guns for your ship, so you want to use them sparingly. This is also one of the elements of player interaction in the game. Your planetary defenses are going to keep your civilians safe from other players. They're going to have to bypass your defenses before they can land on that planet. Now, in addition to those free actions, there's a few timed actions, and these are kind of the meat of the game. This is how you're going to actually be positioning yourself around the board. Now, some of these are pretty simple. For example, the interact action just lets you interact with things on the board. You can interact with the market, different contracts. Basically, anytime you see that interact action icon, you can interact with that by spending one of your time cubes. In addition, you might need to repair your ship. You can simply take 1 action to repair 1 damage for your ship. You're going to have these damage markers that are placed on your ship as it takes damage throughout the game. But the main action you're going to be doing, probably more than anything else, is moving around the board. Let me talk about how movement works. You can choose to either drift, which is going to allow you to move 1 space or spend 1 movement point, or you can move at full speed, which is going to allow you to spend 1 movement point for each speed icon or upgrade that you have on your player board. So if that all adds together, for example, for 4, you may move 4 tiles. You can go back and forth, you can move in any order you want. However, each time you move onto one of those unexplored tiles, you're going to flip it over and resolve whatever happens to you there. In addition, some of these already explored tiles are going to have effects that happen every time you move on to them. Now, if you don't want to spend actions to move, you can burn your crystal instead. If you look on the player board, you're going to see 2 spaces where you can move your crystal before it finally breaks. Moving the crystal is going to allow you to take a movement action basically for free. However, you're going to get your basic movement plus 1 movement for every speed, like you're moving at full speed. So that's kind of a bonus. In a pinch, you can just break down that crystal as you need it. But keep in mind, once that crystal is destroyed, you're never going to get to use it again. Now, I talked about that market earlier. You can access the market from any planet on the board, and going to this market does cost an action, but it's going to allow you to upgrade your ship and upgrade your crew. You can see 2 of each crew type available, as well as all 3 ships available. You're also going to see a variety of upgrade tokens. You can buy as many things as you can possibly afford. However, you can only ever have 1 ship at a time. So when you buy your new ship, you're going to lose your original ship. In addition, you can only have 1 crew at the start of the game. However, you can unlock your secondary crew seat and you can bring in another crew. Now, you can always replace your starting crew because the crew in the market are definitely going to be better options. And you'll also notice on the player board that upgrade space. This is going to allow you to take those upgrade tokens and kind of fill up your player board from left to right, following those areas. Of course, each one of these is going to show a cost and a different color. So you can only put green upgrades on the green space, purple upgrades on purple, and yellow upgrades on yellow, for example. Now, by filling these up, you're not only going to get upgrades to your ship, you're also going to get some bonus upgrades and legend points as shown on your player board. So upgrading can be quite beneficial for your ship. Now, each one of these upgrades will do different things. They could theoretically give you more movement, they could give you more crew space. There's a variety of them and they're shown in the player aid, so you always know what you're getting when you purchase these upgrades. Now, those are the basic actions you're doing, and like I said, you're just going around in player order taking these actions, but life is not that simple. Now, when you flip over some of these tiles, they're going to either reveal ships that you have to fight through or encounters that you have to overcome. In addition, other players can fight with you, so there is a PvP element of ship-to-ship combat that happens in this game as well. When you encounter a ship on an encounter tile, you don't have a choice, you just have to fight it. However, when a player decides to attack you, you do get a few options to negotiate. You can make promises to them, you can make offers to them, any type of negotiation that you want in order to maybe get them to back up off the fight. If both players agree that the fight doesn't need to happen, then you cancel the combat immediately and everybody goes on their way. However, if players don't take your negotiation offer, then you will have to battle them. Now, in order to battle, you're going to be rolling your battle dice. There are a variety of these dice, and you're going to roll a number of them equal to the hand symbols that you see on your ship and your crew, and any upgrades you have. So you can add all these things together, and that's going to determine the dice pool that you get to roll. Once you roll, you're going to assign the dice to your player board. You'll see a variety of spaces that can take dice. However, you have to match those symbols correctly in order to place a die there. One of those spaces that you can choose to assign dice is the targeting system. Players that have assigned dice there can reroll other dice in hopes of maybe getting more matching symbols to do more damage. Once all your dice have been placed and you figure out that damage, you just let the other player know how much damage they're taking. If the other player has any kind of defensive abilities, they can use them to lessen that damage. Otherwise, they're just taking that damage and assigning it as they wish. Once they've taken their damage, they're going to do their damage back to the attacker. In the same function, you're going to tell them exactly how much damage you're doing. So both sides in this fight are taking damage. Now, this is done simultaneously, so even if you blow up your opponent's ship with your attack, you're still suffering the damage that they would do back to you. Provided that both players survive the initial engagement, you'll move on to a second round of combat, with an option to repair your ships in between. You'll have some mechanic ability that will allow you to actually heal your ship. Now, if you don't have that, then you're kind of out of luck. You have to continue the battle as is. Now, at the start of the next round, you're going to have the option to renegotiate. Maybe you dealt a lot of damage to your attacker and you say, hey, I'm going to destroy you. Maybe let's end this combat now. Or you can make some kind of secondary offering. If it was a random ship encounter from a tile, you can actually spend one legend point to just automatically escape. But in player versus player combat, you have to find a negotiation that works for both parties. If not, then you just continue the combat until only one ship is left standing. Now, if your ship is destroyed, you're not eliminated from the game, but you do suffer some damage. You're going to put a wound on all of your crew, and you're going to lose half of your civilians. They're going to go to your civilian graveyard, which is unfortunate, but they got kind of caught up in that battle. You're going to lose half of your cargo as well, but you're not going to remove any damage. These damage tokens are going to stay until you have repaired them. So you're going to have to spend some actions to repair your ship to get it back functioning again before you venture back out and risk another combat. Now, if you do win the combat against an encounter tile, you're going to gain a loot card, and you'll see a deck of loot cards that you can draw from, and it's going to give you some sort of benefit or loot that you can use immediately. Now, combat is just one of the things that can happen when you flip over one of those new tiles. There's a variety of other exploration effects that can affect you in different ways, like causing you to lose cargo or lose credits or just straight up take damage. But not all of these are bad things. In fact, if you explore a planet for the first time, you're actually going to get a benefit, and this is called the planetary bonus. Now, you saw during setup that we put a different planetary bonus on each one of these tiles. If you're the first to explore it and drop crew there, you get to take that token and it is yours. It's going to give you a passive ability that benefits you for the rest of the game. However, you only control that token for as long as you dominate the planet. If another player comes to that planet and drops off more colonists, now they are dominating that planet. They're actually going to take that bonus token from you, and they're going to get that bonus for the rest of the game instead. This is why those planetary cannons I talked about earlier are important. If you really want to keep domination over a specific planet, you'll want to defend it as best as possible. Now, that idea of dominating a planet with your colonists is very important because you're going to get points for all the planets that you've dominated in addition to your bonus. However, moving around the galaxy and dominating planets is not the only thing you're trying to do during this game. At the same time that all of this is happening, you also want to focus on completing contracts. Now you're going to see 3 contracts that start on the cube at the center of the game board. Now each one of these contracts is going to have a different requirement and a different kind of cost. In order to complete that contract, you must have the matching icons needed across your player board. In addition, they all have a cost. The cost you'll have to spend, the requirements you just have to have, but you will pay that cost. That means you can come here and complete that contract. You'll take that contract tile, place it in front of you, slide down the contracts and add a new one so that there are always 3 contracts in the cube. Now there are some tiles that you can explore called space stations that might contain more of these contracts as well, but it's key to collect as many of these contracts as you can. Now I talked about how for round 7 things are going to change a little bit. At the start of round 7, the planet explodes. Calrissian has been destroyed during the war. All of the civilians that were still on your player mat are going to be discarded to your civilian graveyard, along with any civilians that you had lost during the course of the game. They can no longer be rescued. In fact, you're going to take all the news cards off the board as well. There is no more news coming out of this dead planet. Now, you'll play 2 more rounds, but you'll do so without the effects of those news cards. However, you will add 2 new planet tiles. Those 2 planet tiles that got set aside are going to come into play, each with their own domination bonus. So you're going to have a chance to grab some new planets here in the last 2 rounds. Everyone is going to be rushing in and trying to compete for these bonuses. Now at the end of the game, once you finish the 8th round, you're going to score basically everything you've done over the course of the game. So there's a little bit of point salad going on here, but one of the key things you're going to be scoring is points for dominating each planet. Now I talked earlier about how you can deliver cargo to the different planets. Based on how much cargo is delivered, it's going to determine how many victory points that planet is worth, with the player that has domination of that tile gaining those victory points. Now, if you are in 2nd place, you're still going to score some victory points as printed on the tile. In addition, you're going to look at your player board at the domination track. You're going to see these little numbers in between the planets. If you dominate the 3 planets on the ends of those circles, you're going to gain the victory points that are in the middle. So you need to control 3 planets in clusters in order to gain those bonus points at the end of the game. In addition, you're going to get $2 and 1 legend for each encounter card. Those are like the bounty cards that you've completed over the course of the game, and you'll get those from encountering planets. You're going to score points if you have managed to max out your upgrade track, and then you're going to gain victory points for any honor that you have. Honor is gained from fighting other players. If you manage to destroy somebody's ship, you're going to take all the honor from their ship, including the honor they stole from other players, and you're going to put that all on yours. So the honor is going to pass back and forth, but whoever ends up with it is going to get points for having it. In addition, you're going to get legend for having the most money. Whoever has the most credits is going to get 2 legend. So you're kind of looking at a final score here, except for one thing. You're going to lose 1 legend for every 3 civilian cubes that are in your graveyard. So if you did not deliver all of your civilians before the planet exploded, you could be looking at a lot of negative points. However, there are a variety of different strategies in this game. Some of them will focus heavily on putting those civilians out on the planets, and some of them will focus on doing other things around the space. But keep in mind, the only way you're going to get those domination bonuses is by moving colonists out to those planets and placing them there. Of course, there's a lot going on here beneath the surface, more than I could explain in just one video. There are a variety of encounters that you'll have to overcome during the game, and there are a variety of different space tiles. When these space tiles are flipped up, some of them are going to have different effects that are going to last for the rest of the game every time you move through them. Now, you can take a look at the Kickstarter page for Defection and see a lot of these listed out for you, as well as any other surprises or stretch goals that they have in store. And you'll get to see all of the final components because, of course, everything you've seen here in front of you is just a prototype. So thank you so much for watching my look at Defection. Please take a look at the game, come back here, leave some comments, ask any questions that you have. And as always, thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing, and I will see you next time.
Hey everyone, if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider dinging the old bell below. That is going to help notify you of new videos that are uploaded to our channel. And as always, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and please consider watching all of our videos, one of which you can see right here to my left.